want to bring up a story that happened in the summer of 2020 because I remember it like it was yesterday. The Montreal Canadiens drafted Kaiden Guhle, 16th overall. Center Hendrix Lapierre, if you recall, slipped to 22nd, then he went to Washington. Trevor Timmons, who was back then the director of amateur scouting for the Montreal Canadiens, Andre, I don't have to tell you, he got absolutely obliterated by certain members of the media and a certain sector of the fan base. You know how this market can be when you pass on a gut chez nous. And I can understand that as well, but Trevor was so high on Kaiden Guhle, and I think I can say it now, and I think you'd be okay with it. I picked up the phone the next day, and I called you, and I said, Coach, Kaiden Guhle, what can you tell me? And you said, I remember the first four words you said to me. You said, Tony, I love him. I remember that like it was yesterday. 2 years later, I can tell you that Montreal Canadiens fans are really loving him after 4 games. And everyone's starting to wonder, is this how good he really is? Because last game versus the Penguins, he was not the best defenseman on the Canadiens. He was the best player on the ice, period.
Coach, how was live?
Tell me some stories about him.
Yeah, I was live in radio in Montreal when the Canadiens were actually making the pick. And the guy asked me, who should they take? I said, there's no doubt they have to take Kaiden Guhle. And you know how it is. When you make those kind of statements, imagine if they will have taken Henrix Lapierre or whatever, who else people will. But it was clean cut for me, Kaiden Guhle. And I said that after, if Guhle was not there, wasn't not on the board anymore. Okay, now it's a different discussion. For me, Guhle was in another class. He was in a group by itself. So for me, there was no debate. There's no question there. They have to go with Guhle. If Gules will have not be there, okay, now Gachinu, like you said, or whatever. Okay, now we can talk. But for me, I thought the team before will have taken him, and then I was saying, okay, here we go now. Is it Lapierre? Is it Maverick Bourque? I'm a huge fan of Maverick Bourque. I was kind of, maybe it's Bourque. I don't know. But when I saw Guhle was there, I was kind of.
Yeah, in the end, Kaiden Guhle will be Kaiden Guhle. But you know the way we are in the media, right? On aime jouer le jeu de la comparaison, right? We love comparing. If you can, put yourself out there. When you see Guhle, does he remind you of one defenseman in particular? If so, who?
It's really tough, but you know, Gules is a guy who will play a ton of minutes in his career. You know, he has the skating ability, the read, the hockey sense, the play with the puck. He's not a guy who will make a play through 3 guys, but he will make the right decision all the time. And he's not the most skilled guys, but I have tough time to find a guy who I can say Guhle's like that, because you need to find someone who can punish the opponent as well. Gules can. You better not be a head down. He's coming.
So let me rephrase. Without saying he's a Victor Hedman or a Chris Pronger or a Mort Seider, can he be almost as important to a team as those guys were important to their team? He's a first pairing defenseman. Yeah, aucun doute. 100%.
There's no doubt. I said that then, where I receive a little bit of a grief. Said he will be the player with the most ice time in the next 15 years in Montreal. And I don't know if he will be in Montreal 15 years. That's the NHL today. Yeah, but that's the NHL today. You know, I'm not. But my point is, Gules was, and that's what before I was not in the NHL yet. And the way I see him play, he's a kind of guy you can rely on. And as a coach, we all the same. The coach, we all have the same sickness. When the heat is on, we're going back at the guys we trust, the guys we're comfortable with, the guys we know what he will give us. So Gules will always be the first guy. You will put your hands on his back and say, hey, go on, and now you will figure it out who's going with you.
Yeah.
It's normal. It's the way it is. Now the heat is on, the house is on fire. You You need to put the guys you know they will get it done, and you know how they will get it done. He's one of those guys.
I'm Marinaro, and that clip you just watched is from our most recent episode of the Sick Podcast. Once again, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free, and you'll be notified when we go live. I'm Marinaro. Tell your friends about it. This podcast, like me, is pretty sick.